Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to come on here this morning real quick to speak on a topic this morning that's a little bit more special than any other post I've made, because considering today would be Juneteenth, which represents June 19th, 1865, Field Order Number 3, where Union soldiers went down to Texas and told slaves down there that they actually were free legally to not be held in bondage, to be put into forms of labor. They were encouraged to stay on the land they already had been farming for generations and generations, which went on into the periods of Reconstruction, convict lease, and Jim Crow, all these other systemic racist labor laws and social constructs that were created within our country to oppress black folks. But when you think of June 19th, personally, I think of the idea of jumping the broom, that we couldn't legally be married, so we did things like jumping the broom and to acknowledge the bonds that we had. And people wouldn't even be like family members to us, but we would call them kinfolk. That's my kinfolk, that's my cuz. We're family, but not even necessarily even blood family, but you establish these bonds on plantations and while enslaved and different forms of relationships. And the last thing I wanted to speak on too is, when people were enslaved, there was the Meritorious Manumission Act of the 1600s, which, encouraged slaves to do things. For example, telling on other slaves that were planning revolts or anything, with the idea, the potential, or the possibility of attaining freedom through manumission, or that's why that meritorious manumission, meaning to free you or whatever. But a lot of times it never happened, and out of 150 some slave revolts that were planned in the 1850s, I think, or whatever, 150 of them were squashed by other slaves telling on those slaves that were trying to do it, like Denmark Vesey. There were slave revolts in South Carolina in like 1700, 1670 or something like that. But the whole point of this story is, as we come up on this June 19th, and another thing to notice too is, I know where I live at, there's not as many festivals commemorating the history of Juneteenth, June 19th. But what you will see is maybe some ice cream at Walmart that says Juneteenth flavor ice cream, which that's a whole nother story. But everybody have a good day. Be conscious and cognizant of the history and things that are going on around us and what our ancestors did to be able to get us to this point today. That's what we're celebrating and thinking of when we come to June.